Sport Business Tonight. I'm Jacob Gizik. The main topic of tonight's show is the relocation of sport franchises and the reasons behind team owners' decisions to relocate. The key goal of businesses, whether in the sports industry or any other industry, is to make substantial gains in revenue. Thus, decisions by team owners or business managers are made with the goal of generating revenue in mind. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell released a plan in early 2017 to increase the value of the league to $25 billion by 2027. To reach this figure, the league would have to grow by about $1 billion a year until that year. While this is an audacious plan, there are ways the league can reach the $25 billion goal. One way is through team relocations to other cities. Relocating a franchise to another region can generate revenue at the league level as well as at the team level. Here to explain this a bit further is Matt Straminoli.
Thanks, Jake. In order to explain how team relocations can generate revenue, we can look at the case of the Rams moving from St. Louis to Los Angeles. Firstly, the Rams will be trading the 21st largest television market in the USA, St. Louis for the second largest in Los Angeles. This will be a substantial increase in TV audiences and hence TV revenue. Unlike businesses in other industries, the NFL shares revenues among the 32 franchises in order to achieve competitive balance. The rise in TV revenue brought about by the move to LA will thus see an increase in revenue for every team and not just the Rams. Knowing that they will receive a share of TV revenue is one reason why other team owners voted to allow the Rams to move to LA. Another reason is that team owners will also receive a substantial relocation fee from the Rams. Each time a team relocates, they must pay a fee to the other franchises that is commensurate with the projected value increase of their move. The other 31 NFL franchises are predicted to receive a part of a $645 million fee that the Rams owner Stanley Kroenke has to pay. With the expected rise in TV revenue and the relocation fee that other franchises will receive, a team moving to LA is a great business deal for the NFL. However, it is also a great deal for the Rams, as the move will generate revenue they can keep for themselves. The Rams will play in a new stadium and will receive direct revenue from sources such as personal seat licenses and naming rights. While no company has yet to acquire naming rights for the stadium, estimations for PSLs have been released. PSLs entitle the owner to a season ticket after they pay a fixed fee of the PSL, which is expected to range from $175,000 to $225,000 in the Rams Los Angeles Stadium. All profit from PSLs go directly to the franchise without having to be shared across the NFL. Thus, it can be said that the decision to relocate the Rams was motivated purely by business reasons, that being to generate revenue for the league, keeping in mind the NFL's goal of reaching a value of $25 billion in the near future. However, there are cases where business reasons alone do not account for an owner deciding to move their franchise. Often there are other political influences which can contribute to a franchise relocation. I'll send it back to Jake, who will talk about this.
Thanks, Matt, for that great presentation. With limitations on the number of franchises in a professional league, cities must make attractive offers in order to persuade team owners to relocate to their city. These offers often involve a promise of public funds to build a privately owned sports stadium. In the NFL in 1984, the Baltimore Colts relocated to Indianapolis. There are two distinct reasons for this move. The first reason is purely a business reason, in that the move was profitable for the franchise. The City of Baltimore denied Colts owner Robert Irsay his request for a new stadium built from public funds. The main reason for his request was so that the Colts would no longer have to share a stadium with the Orioles baseball team. However, at the same time, the City of Indianapolis built a stadium using public funds in the hope of luring an NFL team. Thus, it was in the Colts' best interest financially to relocate. Not only would they receive a new stadium, which they would not have to pay for, but the stadium would generate revenue from sources such as tickets and naming rights. The second reason for the relocation, however, can be considered a political influence. When negotiations between Baltimore and the Colts regarding a new stadium stalled, the Maryland Senate passed a bill giving the City of Baltimore the right to seize ownership of the Colts by eminent domain. Eminent domain is power invested in the state to take private property for public use. With his franchise on the brink of being taken from him, Irsay accepted the stadium offer from Indianapolis and moved his team there overnight, before the Maryland governor could sign the bill. Irsay has publicly stated that his move was a direct result of the eminent domain bill. While this may be the case, moving the franchise to a stadium built from public funds was a profitable move by the team. So both business and political reasons contributed to the Colts' relocation to Indianapolis. I'll now throw it back to Matt, who will discuss the relocation of the Seattle Supersonics NBA team.
Well, Jacob, there is a similar instance of this occurring in the National Basketball Association. In the case of one NBA franchise, the Oklahoma City Thunder, formerly known as the Seattle Supersonics, they cited business and political reasons being behind the relocation, with lack of support through public funding for a new arena. In 2001, Howard Schultz became the owner of the Seattle Supersonics. In the 5 years that he owned the Sonics, the franchise saw serious financial losses, with the lack of an up-to-date arena being the main reason. An attempt by Schultz to obtain funding for an expansion of the arena was denied by the City of Seattle. The NBA approved the sale of the former NBA franchise known as the Seattle Supersonics and its counterpart, the Seattle Storm, by Schultz, with the hopes that the new owners would find a new arena in turn keep the franchise in Seattle. Businessman Clay Bennett, who at the time led the Oklahoma City Group, bought the franchise for $350 million. Bennett made it clear that he intended to keep the franchise in Seattle and allow it to thrive under new ownership. In an attempt to build revenue, Bennett asked for at least $300 million in taxpayer money to help fund a new basketball arena south of Seattle. This proposal did not see any support, forcing the proposition to be shut down. Not long after the dismissal of funding, an email was released dated in April 2007, stating that Bennett's main intention was always to move the franchise to OKC. In April of 2008, Bennett files for the relocation of the Sonics to Oklahoma, seeing a 28-2 vote of the NBA approving the move. To much disappointment of the fans of the Sonics, the franchise moved to Oklahoma City, being rebranded the Thunder. This is a perfect example of how both political and business reasons affected the relocation. While he always intended to move the Seattle franchise to Oklahoma, the fact remained that the Key Stadium could only seat around 17,000 fans, an inadequate amount in comparison to other NBA stadiums. Due to this, Bennett predicted that the franchise would suffer a loss of $60 million if they remained in Seattle. And here's Jordan to discuss the relocation of another NBA franchise.
Thanks, Matty. In 1995, the NBA decided to expand from just the United States and allowed 2 Canadian teams to join the league. Both Toronto and Vancouver entered into the NBA with the creation of the Raptors and the Grizzlies, respectively. The Grizzlies' 18,000-seat stadium was brand new and built to house their basketball games as well as the ice hockey games of Vancouver's NHL team, the Canucks. With Vancouver being the 4th most densely populated North American city at the time, on paper it seemed like the city of choice if either one of the two were going to succeed. History shows this was far from the case. The on-court performances of the Grizzlies are statistically the worst in the history of the NBA, certainly the worst of any team at the time the team was located in Vancouver. From their debut season in 1995 until the relocation of the Grizzlies in 2001, the team went 101 and 359, winning just 22% of their games over a 6-season period. This remains the worst percentage for any franchise in NBA history and attributes to the poor turnout of fans. Their 1999 to 2000 average attendance, the worst for any team in the league, only 13,899. The combination of bad results and subpar attendance were 2 of the nails in the Grizzlies' coffin. Perhaps the largest contributor to the team's financial struggles and ultimate relocation is the original location of the team, being in Canada instead of the United States. At the time, the Canadian dollar was worth just 67 US cents, which became an issue due to the revenue coming into the team being in Canadian currency, while the salaries of staff had to be in US currency. Owner of the team, Michael Hazley, explained the weak currency meant around 70% of the team's incoming finances had to be spent on people, players, team staff, and coaches. While Toronto didn't suffer the same fate and is still playing in the NBA today, this can be down to the simple snowballing effect of sports. More success equals more fans in seats. More fans means more coming in. More money coming in means more to spend, which generally means higher success. Despite Hazley promising to keep the Grizzlies in Vancouver, the financial losses he and previous owners were suffering, plus a lack of interest when the team was offered around to find a new home city in Canada, left him with no choice but to move the team to the United States proper. Considerations were made for them to move to a different few cities, such as St. Louis, San Diego, and Memphis. Both St. Louis and San Diego objected due to stadium issues and clashes between owners. In 2001, the Vancouver-based team moved to Memphis, Tennessee, due to the issues it faced in Canada. The move was cemented thanks to FedEx, a Memphis-based company, offering an equity purchase in the team. To add salt to the wound, Heasley had to pay a $30 million relocation fee to the NBA, though this would have been taken into account when he considered moving the team. While the move from Vancouver to Memphis was ultimately a business decision, the political and economic environment between Canada and the United States at the time was a driving force for the relocation. Back to you, Jacob.
It's been shown in all of these cases that while there are sometimes underlying political influences to the relocation of a major sports team in the United States, ultimately it all comes down to business decisions and generating revenue. No franchise will move knowing they'll lose money. After all, it's what keeps them going. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for on Sport Business Tonight. Until next time, it's goodbye.